Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Billy Alexander, and we are coming to you live right here in the PWA studio. We are here for a brand new show that's going to bring you, the fans, closer to the superstars inside of PWA. And boy, do we have a treat for you today. Not only do we have the PWA superstar, we have a PWA champion in the building today by the name of the young thriller, Derek Moss. Now, folks, we're going to get into this. We're going to ask Derek a few questions. We're going to let him tell you what it's like to be inside of a PWA ring, to be a PWA superstar, be a PWA champion. Derek, I want to thank you for coming on the show today.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Alexander.
We understand that being a champion, you have a hectic schedule as it is anyway, and we're glad that you were able to give us at least a few minutes of your time.
No, I can afford to throw around a few minutes. I'm not as busy as people think they are. We're approachable. We're human beings.
All right. That's good. So we're going to start this off so that the fans understand who Derek Moss is and where you came from. Now, Derek Moss, you debuted in pro wrestling here in 2010. Is that correct?
Springfield, the same building that we're in right now, the Lanphier High School. That's been years ago.
It's not been that long ago. I mean, it's been 5 years ago.
It's been 5 years. 5 years for a company, New Midwest Wrestling. Don't be surprised if you haven't heard of it, but you know, everybody's got to start somewhere.
Well, I'm sure a lot of the fans out there today know what that was. Some of the newer fans out there for PWA may not understand what that is. But as a follow-up on a lot of these guys that'll be coming into the studio to talk with us, they're going to understand what that was and what it is today. Now, not only did you make a debut in the historic Lanphier High School, where PWA is currently running now, you also had your time down south. If my memory serves me correct, weren't you wrestling for a company called ASWF?
That is correct. That is correct. Me and another PWA superstar, I don't know what name he goes by this week. Is it R-Dub or Randy Micah Pope? That's what it is. Micah Pope.
Yes.
Yes. We were the Illinois boys. They got the S. They keep the S. They don't like Illinois. But yeah, the Illinois boys. We were DVD. Don't ask me what they're. Death by Destruction. I don't know, something like that. I have a T-shirt at home. We had cool T-shirts. I don't know. We came in. We took the place by storm, and we actually won the tag team championships together.
Now, I actually had the time to sit back and watch that match. I did want to ask you this question, and you can hopefully enlighten us a little bit on this. During this match, you guys were what they quote-unquote say, tearing the house down. And for some unseen reason, there was a lot of running in that happened in this match. Can you tell us why, or give us a little insight of why they stopped your match when you guys were tearing the house down and this crowd was ecstatic and going crazy over this match?
Yeah, we'll just go with this. We were down there. We were two young guys. We were flying around. You know, we did our thing. There were two guys. Again, it's 4 years ago. Their names slipped me, but they were two good guys that could also fly. But the problem was that they were down in the south, and a lot of the guys on the roster didn't really fit their style because a lot of the guys were more old school. They were character based. They weren't as much of the they called it the WWE style. You know, they didn't see the moves. They worked on the lockups and they worked on the armbar. You know, and we had the pleasure of working with those two guys. One of them was Excalibur. The other one was Seth Saber. See, I remember.
Yes.
I remember now. And the thing is that they put us on pre-main. They put us on second to last, and they told us to go out there and do what we do.
Okay.
And so the crowd, obviously, they loved us because we were the change in the show. They got tired of the old stale, so we went out there and we tore the house down. Well, right towards the end of the match, I look out of the corner of my eye, and I see who is now the PWA heavyweight champion, Guy Smith, along with 5, 6, 7 guys. I don't remember. There was a whole horde of guys, and they all stormed the ring and beat the tar out of the two guys that were in there. And come to find out, it was because the main event was losing its appeal, and they didn't want the young guys to go out there and steal the show from them.
So because you were in there taking this federation by storm, you and your partner, they decided that you had your britches a little too big already, and they wanted to cinch them up.
Right. They had the main event was a triple threat for the heavyweight championship, and it was 3 rather large guys. I would say probably 100 pounds, maybe 50 pounds heavier than Madman. And
Madman's a big guy,
right? And you should have seen.
And then you add another 50 pounds.
Yeah, you should have seen the size of this guy. But the thing was that they weren't going to do anything that we were doing. So it's not like we were out there and we were taking all their moves from them. It's just that they thought that the crowd wasn't going to react for them, and sure enough, they didn't.
Oh, well.
And they blamed us for it, so.
Well, I mean, you being the younger guys, I mean, that's probably how that happens most of the places, right? I mean, I'm the young guy in the studio, and I get my head through the ringer all the time.
Do you remember the movie The Wrestler?
Yeah.
I actually, during the match, I did the Ram Jam.
Oh, really?
And full on my face, and the whole crowd, they loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah. That was right before the ring.
Well, they probably thought that was the best thing of the night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Would you do the Ram Jam in PWA?
If I could actually hit it, yeah. I could hit it.
What if you just did the Ram Jam? I mean,
I'll
you could fall on your face. It wouldn't have mattered. It'd still be funny. The crowd would probably pop for it now.
We got some shows coming up. We got Take Me Out to the Brawl game. Maybe I'll pull off the Ram Jam out there for old time's sake.
Well, it'll be out there in the grass. You won't have too much to worry about.
Yeah.
So you'll be all right.
I'll just fly down.
So we're going to fast forward a little bit. You know, coming from down south to up here, you've been around, you know, with the company that's no longer around, and a lot of people, again, they don't know this, but a lot of people do, and that was New Midwest. Can you give us a little insight of your time there? What did you accomplish when you were there?
Well, right now I'm accomplishing not to keep my belt up. That's good. But I mean, it was a teaching experience. It was a way to get your feet wet. Everybody's got to start somewhere, and New Midwest Wrestling back in the early 2000s was wrestling in Springfield. You know, it was to WWE what the fans that don't get the pleasure of driving all the WWE shows is. They had something that they could stick to. They had a loyal fan base, and by the time I got around, you know, I watched a few shows. I watched for 3 or 4 years before I debuted, and I saw the general progression of fans that were kind of dwindling down, and it was becoming more of just kind of a mom and pop thing. So it was. I came in 2010, and they weren't really for sure. Like I wasn't really for sure what I was going to expect. You know, I just went out there and I wrestled. I got teamed with Eric Logan. We were the crew for I think about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And we did some things that were they were questionable at best towards the end of time, but you know, it was a learning experience, and it was a good experience while it lasted. And that's where I met a lot of the PWA roster right now.
Well, speaking of that PWA roster, you've now stepped into PWA. You have cemented your footsteps as you're standing here with a belt, I can see. What was it like when you came into PWA and you had to climb not only from the bottom of the basement to the steps to the ladder to get where you were at then, to get to the regional title you hold now?
I mean, it was, you know, at first I came into PWA right about the summer of 2012, somewhere early fall. And it was kind of felt familiar. I tagged with Eric Logan for a couple shows, and we were we were doing our own thing, but it never really took off anywhere. And then we went and got to Slitsy, and we started the SOB thing, and we were kind of taking off, but not quite. We never got there. It was the last 9 months is when I started putting my foot down and saying, you know what, enough's enough. You're not going to overlook me anymore. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to take things like the PWA Regional Championship that apparently will not stay up for this. So
when you stepped into the PWA ring, you stepped into the Grand Wrestling Spectacle 5 against number 1 Tom Larson in a ladder match for that regional title. So when you step in there against somebody in his caliber, who's been around the Central Illinois scene for many of years, what was that like in there at that time?
It was incredible. Tom Larson is a legend around here. He's been a mainstay, and I stepped into the ring with him during the Toga Memorial Tournament, and that's when I really knew right then that there was going to be magic that struck twice. You know, we went out there, we had good matches, but it couldn't have come as a more deserving win than over a guy like Tommy Arson.
So, with that being said, would you say you getting your win over Tommy Arson, not only just the win, but taking his regional title, would you say that that would probably be one of your highlights of Pinfall Wrestling Association today?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, like I said, the caliber of a guy that Tommy Arson is, I haven't done a whole lot in this business. You know, I've been around for 5 years, but I never really had that defining moment. And I feel that Grand Wrestling Spectacle, the stars aligned, and I was really able to showcase why I deserve to be in this business and why I deserve to be in PWA as a mainstay.
So let me ask you this now that you're on that. With you holding a regional title, where does Derek Moss, where does the young thriller go from here? Now he's knocked off one of the mainstays of Central Illinois. Where do you go now in PWA?
I think a lot of guys get confused with, you know, they try to step on too fast and they try to go from here to here to here. You know, you establish yourself, and I've made my whole career out of proving people wrong, and I proved a lot of people wrong that said that I wasn't going to climb the ladder and grab the regional belt and pull it down with me. So now the focus is defending this PWA regional belt and defending against all challengers. You know, and if the day comes, you know, obviously this is just a stepping stone, but you make it something more than just a belt. You know, you make it yours. And so the next logical step would be the PWA Heavyweight Championship, which Guy Smith, he trained me, you know.
Yep.
So that would be an incredible honor in and of itself.
So the last thing I want to do here real quick before we get into the second part is there anything that you, Derek Moss, would like to say to the fans out here in PWA? Anything it can be. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, we're off the cuff here. I mean, don't go too crazy, of course. I mean, I don't want Grandma calling us at the studio throwing a fit.
Hi, Grandma. No, but I just want everybody that I want to thank every single person that buys a ticket to PWA, that follows me around to all the different wrestling promotions, but mainly the PWA family. I want to make sure that I tell you thank you, because without you, I wouldn't be where I am. And I wouldn't have a reason to go out there and do the things that I do and continue to grow alongside everybody in the PWA family.
Well said. So you got that part down of who Derek Moss is. Now we're going to get a little more of Derek Moss from up here. We're going to do what's called a word association. So I'm going to give you a name or a word, and I want you to give the fans the first thing that pops in your mind. So the first thing we're going to start off with, of course, is the PWA Heavyweight Champion, Zero Height Guy Smith.
How long do these answers? Do I need to give like just one
Just
word?
First thing that comes to your mind.
First thing that comes to mind is trainer, veteran, legend, friend. I guess we'll throw friend in there too.
You might want to, just in case.
Absolute friend.
All right. So secondly, let's get on to the second one. Spotlight Spencer Powers.
Another veteran. I would say more of the dark horse.
Elaborate just a little.
Just a little bit? Okay. You know, he's not... If you look at him, you may see the unstable side. And you may see the crazy. And everybody's seen the crazy for the last, but you haven't really seen the true Spencer Powers. Because the true Spencer Powers will bite you when you least expect it.
Unfortunately, Spencer Powers has bit quite a few people around here.
Including PWA management. But whatever.
The PWA Tag Team Division.
Thin, to be an absolute understatement. What are we down to now? I think we got our tag team champions, the Alliance. I think that's it. Well, in all honesty, I mean, we have tag teams that they throw guys together and they tag, but there's only one real true tag team in that division, that's a mainstay here.
Well, I mean, you have the Alliance, you have the Money Making Champ Boys, you've got Slitsy and Knucklehead. I don't even know what their team is even called, honestly.
I don't think they have one.
No,
I don't think they have one.
Okay.
Yeah, those two guys thrown together. I understand, but the Jam Boys, they're well traveled, they're well versed, they're decorated. The Alliance.
Speaking of the Alliance, I want to ask you a question about one of those gentlemen because he is a returning, and that is Michael Shard.
One of the best to step foot in a PWA ring or in a wrestling ring in Central Illinois. Absolutely.
Okay. Now the other thing I want to talk about is PWA.
Home. A lot of guys come through, they pass through, and they're around for their cup of coffee and then they leave. I'm approaching my 4th year with PWA, and this is home. This is where I feel that I've grown the most.
You have grown a little because I remember the last time I spoke with you, your hair wasn't as tall, so I think it's grown just a little bit. Besides you growing as well.
It's summertime. It's humid outside.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. So the last 2 questions I want to ask you is the Hall of Famer, Rip Mystic.
I don't even know where to begin.
Don't ask me because I'm not sure where to begin.
I mean, Rip Mystic is a Hall of Famer for a reason because he did everything in the ring, but not only in the ring, outside the ring as well. And that's just, you can't hold a candle.
And last, young thriller Derek Moss.
Without being arrogant?
You can answer the question how you want.
The PWA Regional Champion. The workhorse in PWA. I know that was a term that was coined by a former PWA Regional Champion, and I hope that he gets back to 100%. But he said something that really rings true, and that this right here means that you are the absolute workhorse. You have the best matches on the card. You put together whatever part of the show that you're on and make sure that nobody forgets who you are.
Good answer. Well, there you have it, folks. The young thriller Derek Moss, right here live in the studio, inside the locker room. I want to thank you for coming in again, champ.
Thank you.
Appreciate the...
Mr. Alexander, was it?
That's right. We want to appreciate the time that you give us and everything. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget, next week's episode, we'll have that person that we spoke of a few moments ago, the returning, and PWA current tag team champion, Michael Shard, right here live in the studio with me, Billy Alexander, on Inside the Locker Room.